Good morning to everyone, and hello. Welcome to the West Point Gold presentation. Thank you so much for spending your time with us. West Point Gold is unlocking the golden age of America. So we are focused on the Walker Lane trend in southern Nevada. It is a very prolific gold trend. The largest discovery was made up in the northwest part by Kinross Round Mountain. It's over 20 million ounces. Recently, AngloGold Ashanti they've made over 10 million ounces of gold discovery just next to the old Corvus Gold project that they acquired 2 years ago. That's actually now well over 16 million ounces and growing. So we're looking at an area of Nevada that's not had a lot of work done on it in the past, but it's getting a lot more interesting. Most of the work we know in Nevada has happened primarily in the Carlin Trend. So you see our 4 projects there, 2 of which are approximate to Round Mountain in the northern west part of the state. You've got the Tip Top project, and on the southeastern nub of that, just over the state line into Arizona, you've got the Gold Chain project. Now, before I go too much further, I don't want to be remiss and mention that we've got forward-looking statements in this presentation. So please, if you need any more information of those, go check those on our website. Going back to the projects in Nevada, the one that's of note that you'd be seeing some news on this year is called Jefferson Canyon, which is 7 kilometers due east of Round Mountain. That project is in a joint venture with Kinross. They have to spend the next $600,000 of work at that project, which essentially will be drilling, and they have an earn-in on that to buy 80% of that asset for $10 million US. The primary work you're going to be seeing from West Point Gold is on the Gold Chain project there in Arizona. To hone in on that project, and one of the reasons why we're so excited about it is you can see that it's just 1.5 hours on the highway from Las Vegas to the southeast. It's very close to the town of Bullhead, which has got 43,000 people. Got a phenomenal amount of infrastructure there, which is everything you could possibly want. A road going right past the project. You've got power lines. You've got labor nearby at Bullfrog, and cell phone towers. And the best part about this project is it's in the Oatman district, which has actually a very supportive BLM permitting body. So that permits are actually something which I know, at least from my experience in Nevada, it's a lot easier and obviously a lot more supportive for getting the permitting done. That's most noted by the Moss mine just to the south of us, which actually was a low-grade producer that was in December acquired by Mako and is now being put back into production. But that was actually permitted in the last 4 years and can demonstrate that this area is supportive of mining, and permitting actually can be done as long as the guidelines are followed. If we take a look at the Gold Chain project, and one of the reasons why we're so excited about it, and this is a lot of the work that was done into the middle of 2024, so 9 months ago, you've got this phenomenal district land package. That's the black lines there are the patented mining ground, which I'll put some blue lines on. This is all your patented mining ground. And over here, you've got the land that's the BLM. So you can see within that, you've got this ground that's patented mining ground, which, as we know in the US for permitting, that's actually a lot simpler to get the work done on it. Now, the black boxes represent the drilling that was done by Gold79, the predecessor to West Point Gold. You can see the most notable result of which here is 85 meters of 6 grams. And in that, they had 9 meters of 51 grams. And that was drilled in 2023. Not much of a gold market back then. And so essentially the story was not able to get a lot of traction at that time. Now, the primary focus of the work that we're doing is this Tyro vein structure right here. And again, this is a black line of patented mining ground, so it's great to get permitting done. And on that structure, we've got about 800 meters of strike length, 30 to 50 meters wide, and 200 to 300 meters deep. Now, the modelers have taken that historical drill data from these black boxes, which is RC drilling, and given us a model right here, which is 15 million tons on the low end to 31 million tons on the upper end, between 1.5 to 2.5 grams of oxide. That's a surface along this structure. And you can see some of the drill results here that have given us at least some of the highlights of one of the reasons why we're so excited about this opportunity on just the Tyro vein. Now, if we look down the down the work that was done in early 2024 by Gold79, our predecessor. They did some trenching at surface, and you can see some of the grade at surface was wonderful correlation to the drilling that was done at depth. And so that's given us the model and the confidence in the model. So in the form of West Point Gold, as it transitioned from Gold79 in late 2024, just a few months ago, we did a drill program. That was the first time it was drilled core, 8 holes, 1,284 meters, and we went right up the Tyro vein structure. And you can see 29 here down in the south, all the way up to 34 in the north. We got some incredible results. And as you can see by this hole 30 right here, you've got 52 meters of 1.5 grams and 36 meters of 2 grams right here, and hole 30 down here, here more or less in the middle. And what got us real excited is this hole 34 right here, which has got 42 meters of 2.5 grams, 11 meters of almost 6 right up here in the north. And so between this hole 28, which was that one back here, right here, and hole 34, you've got 700 meters of robust mineralization. So where it gets interesting is that we've always had this model of 30 to 50 meters of zone structure. And what got interesting is that the structure, or the theory that was, we're dealing with about a 30 to 50 meter structure wide with a hanging wall on the southeast side and a footwall on the northwest side. So if we go down to the drilling, that hole 34, we can see was mineralized from surface right out the back end of the footwall. And what got interesting is we had an undocumented stope. And so while they were drilling core, they started getting wood chips in the core and basically a hole. So they didn't even realize, but the mineralization of that wall was something like 12 grams. So we're looking at an area that was 9 feet or about 2 meters that was empty, that would have been in that intercept had that not been an undocumented stope. So if we start to look at what I was mentioning up here with regards to the infill samples that are being done, there's 3 holes, 30, 31, 32, where we weren't, because there's historical drilling that was done that was wasn't quite sure where the hanging wall might be and how porous it would have been to the gold mineralization. You've got the footwall here and the hanging wall here. So the assay was taken from where the geologists thought the hanging wall was to the footwall, which ended up being the 50 meters of 1.53 grams. There was no assays done in this part of it. And they took these assays up here and got 0.6 of almost 6.5, almost 7 grams. None of that was assayed. So all of that has what's been sent back to the lab. So we've got 3 different holes up here, 30, 31, 32. All of these are having 28 meters, 23 meters, and 24. That data was all sent to the lab. Those parts of the core were sent to the lab about 3 weeks ago. So we're actually looking for that information imminently. And that, again, could throw our model into a huge opportunity that instead of looking at 50 meters, we might be looking at much more than that. On top of that, it's closer to surface, which is going to help on the economics of any kind of development of the asset going forward. So now if we take a look at the long section, and this is starting to give you a concept of why we're so excited that there's a drill program coming down the pipe, in addition to what we know right now versus the work that's about to be done. You can look up at this end of the project here of all these holes that were drilled by Gold79 in 2021. That's what the 21 stands for. You got this phenomenal and economic grade. You've got the hole that we drilled last fall. So you can see that there's proximate of this is what's going to be the foundation of a resource or a maiden resource with a drill program that's imminently. We've talked about a 3,000 meter drill program that's about to start. So this is a mineralization up on the north end, and this is a mineralization down on the south end. So essentially you can imagine where the drill program is going to be over the next project. So again, between the north and the south, that kind of 500 to 700 meters is where the focus of the drill program is going to be. That's imminently going to be beginning. This slide right here just gives you a really good idea of where it was historically mined in the 80s. This is basically an oxide open pit heap leach, mined 30 to 40,000 ounces of gold at 2 grams. Right down here, we've got the old mining shaft. So this shaft, you can actually walk in and essentially you can go into this and actually look out of that hole. And this is right there on the cross section or the long section. So those holes right there are right here, and you can see some of the grade that was in the wall of that. So this is all gold that was not mined back in 1905 to 1920 when this was originally mined by the shaft. So you can see along the top of the long section, you've got all these phenomenal grades and economic grades. And then along the bottom here, which is the drilling that's been underground between Gold79 historically and West Point Gold. Where it gets interesting and what's the focus of our project right now is if we take a look here, this right here is the Tyro mine, so Tyro project and the structure, which is what we're going to be focused on. And this is what we're calling the low-hanging fruit, which is ostensibly where all the work has been done historically. Now, if we want to start to take a look at some of the other opportunities and potential mineralization on this asset, on the structure, we've got historic mining that rock dump samples. So there's actually an old mining shaft from 100 years ago that our geologists took some samples of the waste rock and got almost 2 ounces of gold down here. Down here, we've got almost an ounce here, 2/3 of an ounce here. So this is all work. This is all parts of the land package that have not seen any work in over 100 years that we're excited to get after. But the focus of our next round of drilling is right up there at the Tyro project. But if we start to look at some of the other opportunities, and as we get regional on this, not only do we have this large target that's near term for a maiden resource at Tyro, we've got 6 different targets on this that are multi-million ounce or million ounce, and 3 of those are multi-million ounce targets all along this whole structure here between the Sheep Trail ledge and the Red Hill ledge. One of the other areas where it starts to get more interesting is up here at the Frisco Graben. And the Frisco Graben, and the correlation I can make to those of you that know that my background is with Corvus Gold, just up the trend on the other side of Vegas at Anglo Gold bought, incidentally. The Frisco Graben is where the geologists are presuming or kind of believing that that might be the source of the gold throughout the entire structure. So it's actually a blind target. It was never mined historically. And this is something which we're quite excited to get after. So as we're working our way forward and getting our arms around quantifying Tyro, we're going to be spending some time at some of the other targets there. Essentially, we've got 65.8 million shares issued and outstanding, fully diluted. We've got 96 million shares. And essentially, you can see on the chart here, this is where the merger between Gold79 and West Point, or Bullet, which became West Point. And then these are the financing price points for the $6 million raise we did at 25 cents late last year.
Yeah, increasing volume there too, which is nice. Yeah, so if you have any questions for Quentin, please type them in. I want to talk a little bit about Arizona, right? Walker Lane Trend, typically known like the Nevada structure. What are the benefits of being in Arizona?
I think the Walker Lane in and of itself hasn't seen a lot of work, but I spent 10 years with Corvus Gold from 2011 to early 22 when it was acquired by Anglo, and the differences, they're subtle, but they're significant. I mean, if anybody that's had investments in the US before know the BLM is some offices are great and some offices are more challenging. We happen to be in an office that's great, but one of the most significant differences right now with Arizona is water rights, because Corvus back in the day, we actually had to buy a farm with a water right, a 500 acre feet water right. It cost $1 million of our treasury while we were a broke company. But if we had no water, that was a potentially developmental issue. And a lot of people don't realize Anglo was buying water from us before they actually acquired us for their own development of their projects nearby. Arizona is fantastic in the sense that if you've got patented mining ground, you automatically get the rights to the water. So that actually took one of the basically a development potentially killing issues right out of the equation. And that's one of the most exciting things about Arizona is that they're much more progressive with water with regards to how its usage is.
Yeah, can you slide back up to that property map, like where at the beginning of the slide with all? Oh, yeah. Okay, so yeah, what's going on here? Something happened with Moss Mine recently that I think that was. Is that correct?
Moss Mine was interesting because it was owned by Elevation and it was not profitable. They didn't have the treasury to do a lot of work on the package, but they were actually able to permit and go into production on a 0.4 on a heap leach. That was acquired by that asset. They actually went into receivership last August. overloaded with debt, unable to, the best I could understand is they were over 2,000 an ounce production, all in cost. And that was before gold even got to 2,000. So they basically were not economically viable at the time. From our understanding, Mako Mining, as soon as Donald Trump got elected and was talking about having support for permitting anything over $1 billion of investment in the U.S., the Mako, who's actually got production in Nicaragua and developing production in Guyana, actually said, we got to be in the U.S. and came in and bought up the debt, pennies on the dollar, and are in the process of restarting that. And so, again, you're in an area that you've got a budding mid-tier actually now starting to put down roots in the district as well.
Yeah. And then I see that, you know, the Arizona Silver Philadelphia project there, they've got a $36 million market cap. You've got about a $26 million market cap. What is your last reported cash position?
We're at the end of the year, we were at 6 million, actually at the end of 2024. We've actually done a drill program, and we're about to start another drill program. And as those of you that saw the press release recently, we've got a marketing campaign that's in the process of getting underway as well. So that treasury is certainly lower than that now, but as I said, we'll have an update at the end of the quarter.
Yeah. Okay. You got a minute and a half to talk about this Frisco Graben target, because I'm aware that grabens can host very significant mineralization bodies. So if you can just touch quickly, I know that's a high flyer target, but let's talk about it quickly.
Okay, so I should mention Corvus Gold right here. That's your analogy. And incidentally, we're working with the Corvus Gold site geologist for 11 years, is actually working with us as well, consulting to us. And at Corvus, we developed just under 4 million ounces. Anglo Gold had the land to the north of us, which was a graben as well, which is basically a volcanic dome. And that's what they believe was the source of the gold. And so Anglo went in and drilled this as a blind target and has now got over 10 million, 12 million ounces there at that project. So we now have this asset, Tyro right here, and this is the Frisco Graben just to the north of us. So you can see Tyro's right here, which has got the historic. Our graben is right, it's about 4 kilometers along by about 1 kilometer wide right here. So it's a pretty big area as far as drilling goes to actually try to figure something out of where the source might be. But essentially it's a blind target. There's no production historic on it. So essentially we've got to go in there with blind targets and hopefully hit something, which would be the source, which is the Corvus analogy would be, again, multi-million ounces of where the gold came from the system. Now, our best advice we can get, which actually happens to be the Corvus geologist who's now working with us, is you cannot drill 2 holes here. You got to be prepared to drill 15 holes. You're going to get frustrated. You just got to keep at it, because Anglo Gold went after this. And as I said, they've got this deposit now, which is basically transforming their company. And they've gone so far as to move their senior management from South Africa to Denver, primarily because this is going to be one of their flagship assets. So you've got one of the world's largest gold companies that's actually now developing a massive tens of millions of ounce asset potentially just on the other side of Vegas for us. And we have the analogy. Corvus project to comparison would not have had this ground in it. So we've got the ground in West Point Gold that that Corvus did not have, which was something which could be an elephant type target.
Cool. Well, we're out of time. Quentin, thank you so much. Again, if anybody has any questions, they can email them in or type them in, and we'll get Quentin to get back to you with your answers. Thanks so much, Quentin. Great job.
Have a great day.